Okay then. What are you doing? I am gathering up all this crap so you can send your client home and get out of my hair for good. So, elements of harmony, instruction book, locket, key, no wait! Coin. Mr. Khan? Mr. Khan! Oh, hell. This didn't have to be this bloody complicated.
Night, your phone is ringing.
Well, maybe you can answer it? I'm kind of in the middle of trying to figure out which villain is masquerading as an evil version of me.
Because I have short little arms and I'm trying to solve this puzzle.
Okay, you have a point. I'm sorry, Mokana. It's just been so busy since we moved and everything else. Okay, I'll answer the phone though. Maybe it's Casey and... Not. Hello?
Miss Nightmare, Douglas Ampersand.
Yes, of Ampersand, 70 : hyphen and bracket. I know the deal already.
Charming as ever, Miss Nightmare.
The same goes to you, Ampersand, but I don't have time for your bullshit right now. So, what do you want? Revenge for our last conversation that we had together? Oh, I have another idea. Did anybody at Hagen get in touch with you to put a curse on me? Which is totally understandable and totally something she would do. Oh, I have another idea that I think you might be doing. Are you gonna sue me into oblivion? Because I am not interested in anything you have to say, so I'm gonna hang out this conversation in 5, 4, 3, 2...
I believe I found a way to bring Dubious Khan back.
What?!
In our last encounter, I told you I couldn't tell you exactly where he is because I didn't know exactly where he is, and that was true. I didn't know where he specifically was. In a more general sense, however, he is currently lost in the realm of pure thought and imagination, which we refer to as the fictional plane.
The fictional plane? Why didn't you tell me about that?
I was going to explain, however, you decided you would rather be belligerent. Forgive me for not exactly feeling charitable at that moment.
Night, breathe.
Okay. Alright. How are we getting back?
I've spent the last year doing some research on the plane, and I think I found a way to bring him back to this side of reality. The nature of the plane is such that every fictional construct, character, place, and idea all exist over there. Because of the rise of internet comedic reviewers like yourself and Mr. Khan, plus other events related to them, such as the incident around Jupiter several years ago, the two realms are now able to interact with each other more frequently and freely.
Okay, I do believe in you about the fictional plane stuff, but cut to the chase, Ampersand.
Fine. With a little magical assistance from yourself, I believe it may be possible to create a breadcrumb trail, so to speak, within the fictional plane that would guide Mr. Khan through the plane to one of the weak spots between the two dimensions and enable him to come back home.
Breadcrumbs, huh? What kind of trail are we talking about here?
Something similar to the Vincula Vindictae.
Oh, hell no! I'm not inflicting that on him again!
Calm down, I said similar, not the actual curse itself. The spell I found, if I'm correct, will set up the breadcrumb trail. As he reaches each stop, he reviews a film. Each film will then, by way of the spell, show up on the internet and act as an anchor to our world. Enough of these reviews, and that should hopefully culminate in a breach which will get him back over here.
And how do I fit into this picture? Seriously, you made those bracelets so long ago, you could probably set something up like that. Why come to me now?
Mr. Khan's disappearance into the plane was an accident, and unfortunately it has caused some major strife amongst the partners at the firm. The rest of them would rather just sweep the whole incident under the rug. I, however, disagree, and as such, I am essentially going rogue.
Hold on, wait a second here. After everything that you've done to him, you expect me to think that you actually care about what happens to him?
As I've said many times, my interests in you and Mr. Khan have never been anything but professional. I am somewhat responsible for Mr. Khan's current predicament and have been trying to find a way to correct it. I now have that solution, and despite our previous interactions, I am respectfully requesting your assistance.
Will this really get him back?
You know full well that the nature of magic means that nothing is guaranteed. However, yes, I do believe this is our best chance of retrieving him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true about magic. I can sense that you're not lying, but what do I need to do?
I'm going to send you an item that is linked with Mr. Khan, along with the details of the spell. All you have to do is cast it, and then if the first review shows up on the internet, we know it worked.
I'll send you my address.
Excellent. I will have it to you in a couple of days.
All right. I'm giving you a second chance. This better work, Ampersand.
I certainly hope so, Miss Nightmare.
Really shady, Knight. Do you really think you could trust him?
I know we can't trust him. I mean, I told him I might give him a second chance, but I'm still keeping my eye on Homoko now. Do not forget that. I don't see any reason why bringing Khan back would hurt him either. The only people that know what happened when Khan disappeared are him and Ampersand.
I don't know. This whole thing about the fictional plane seems really sketchy.
You're talking plush with a drinking problem.
Hey, I can stop whenever I feel like it.
Okay, I'm going to be looking up AA means for you when I'm done here.
Oh, come on, Knight. You know Rosa doesn't keep any alcohol in the apartment. What kind of madness is this? I want my sweet alcohol.
Okay, got this. Amecius, Set, Key, Reduntus.
That's it? Wow, I was really expecting a pizzazz and flashiness, but I give it a 3.
I felt a surge of energy, so it must have worked, right? I mean, I just hope it worked.
Yeah! Take that!
Hi, you ugly son of a bitch! Ugh. Fucking sandworms. Jesus. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Year out here and all this nothing. Quizzaz Hatterack my ass. The hell? Yikes. Well, great. Here we go again. So if I'm understanding what the weird eldritch voices in my head are telling me right now, to get the hell back home, I'm going to have to review each of the direct-to-video animated Scooby-Doo movies. But before we jump right into them, I think we need to talk about the franchise as a whole. Scooby-Doo has, at the time of this video appearing on the internet, been around for 50 years. 50 years of mystery, monsters, sight gags, and a whole lot of Scooby snacks. The franchise has spawned no less than 12 individual TV series, 3 animated TV movies, 2 live-action theatrical films with a 3rd animated theatrical film on the way, 2 live-action TV movies, 1 direct-to-video live-action spin-off film, Daphne and Velma, a crossover on the TV series Supernatural, which features one of the best Scooby moments ever.
If there are ghosts, that means there's an afterlife! Heaven! Hell! Am I going to hell?
We told you every freaking time, but did you ever listen to Scoob and me? No! We're doomed.
And the main focus of this series, 30-plus direct-to-video animated movies. That's not a bad track record for 4 meddling kids and their dog. But what started the whole direct-to-video movie series in the first place? I've covered the history of Scooby-Doo in other videos, but for the sake of convenience and having all the latest information in one place, here's a basic rundown on the history of the franchise. In 1969, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Premiered on CBS. The show ran for 2 seasons, with the last original episode airing, appropriately enough, on Halloween 1970. It remained in reruns until 1972, returning as the New Scooby-Doo Movies, featuring an hour-long runtime and an assortment of real-life and fictional celebrity guest stars. This version also lasted 2 seasons until approximately 1974. Reruns continued until 1976 when the franchise moved to ABC, and new episodes mimicking the original 30-minute format were packaged with other Hanna-Barbera productions such as Dynamite Dog Wonder and Laugh Olympics. These 40 episodes would emerge later in syndication as The Scooby-Doo Show, which uses this title to distinguish itself from the earlier Where Are You? Incarnation. This version of the show has not fared well in the home video market. Episodes produced in 1976 in conjunction with Dynamite appear on that series' DVD set, while some, but not all, of the 1977 episodes have appeared on various compilation discs. The 1978 episodes of this series have been released under the confusing name of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? The Complete Third Season, since the episodes of this season were meant to be a revival, but that stopped about halfway through, with the remaining episodes being renamed. Yeah, television is weird, and to confuse things even more, these 40 episodes are available on various streaming services. Scooby's only primetime special, Scooby Goes Hollywood, aired on ABC in 1979. This special, however, breaks with the usual format, instead portraying the gang as actors on their show, and Shaggy and Scooby trying to break out of Saturday morning and into prime time. This special is amusing, but a little dated, as it parodies popular primetime programming of the era, such as Happy Days, Charlie's Angels, and Laverne and Shirley. 1979 also saw a major shakeup to the status quo. Scooby-Doo was in danger of getting cancelled after 10 years on air, and a new character was introduced, Scrappy-Doo, Scooby's nephew. Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo ran for 3 seasons from 1979 to 1982, with substantial overhaul during the run. After the first season, Fred, Velma, and Daphne were dropped from the show, and the format changed to 3 7-minute adventures with Scooby, Scrappy, and Shaggy rather than a full 30-minute mystery. These were packaged from 1980 to 1981 with Richie Rich, then paired up with the Ruby Spears production, The New Adventures of the Puppy, for the final season in 1982. In 1983, realizing the shorts version had run its course, the show was retooled into the new Scooby and Scrappy show, returning Daphne to the cast, and now featuring two 11-minute mysteries per episode, with the occasional two-part episodes forming a full half hour. In 1984, this version was renamed The New Scooby-Doo Mysteries, and occasionally featured Fred and Velma returning in guest appearances in some episodes. 1985 saw the final incarnation of Scooby-Doo on Saturday morning that had been constant since 1969, with the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. I'm not going to go into detail on this one here. If you're interested, see the Saturdays episode on the series elsewhere on this channel. Following the cancellation of 13 Ghosts, there wasn't a new Scooby-Doo TV series on the air until 1988. In the meantime, however, 3 TV movies were made between 1987 and 1988 as part of Hanna-Barbera's Superstar 10 series of TV films. Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers, Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, and Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. These featured the character designs from 13 Ghosts and focused on Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy, much as the second and third seasons of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo did. Fred, Velma, and Daphne are nowhere to be found, and monsters and ghosts are actually real in these films. In 1988, as part of the trend established by Jim Henson's Muppet Babies, a new show, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, premiered on ABC. It returned the original members of the gang, erased Scrappy-Doo, and featured all the characters as preteen versions of themselves. The focus was more on comedy in this series, to the point of including Tex Avery-style squash and stretch animation. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo lasted until 1991 and was the last TV series until What's New Scooby-Doo premiered on the WB network in 2002. An updated version of the classic format for the 21st century, largely spurred on by the success of the live-action movies. Fun side note, as is well documented, the theme, which has become just as popular as the original theme for Scooby-Doo Where Are You, was performed by the rock band A Simple Plan, and they still occasionally perform it during live performances. This version lasted for 3 seasons before being replaced by Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. This series is weird. The character designs are weird, the premise is weird, and once again, while Fred, Velma, and Daphne are present, they aren't used all that much except in cameo or guest appearances. To the best of my knowledge, this version is the least liked among Scooby fans. What seems to be among the most liked is 2010's Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. With an overarching plotline across its 2 seasons, substantial character development, a darker tone, and some equally dark humor, I consider this series the best Scooby series since the original. For further details, I have another video elsewhere on this channel discussing this one as well. The next Scooby series went in the complete opposite direction. Be Cool Scooby-Doo is primarily a comedy series with all new character dynamics. Originally derided for its art style, most people who have watched it soon realize the show is genuinely funny, with some great writing and gags.
Why do you have a beard?
I think a better question is, why don't you have a beard? Here we go.
Because I don't want one?
Well, I do. I don't hear you questioning Shaggy about his beard.
Did you hear that, Chin Fuzz? You've officially been recognized as a beard.
Oh, we're so proud. Shaggy's a man.
Another first. Take that, Uncle Dave.
We're so proud.
This series also lasted 2 seasons. The current incarnation of the show is Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, which harkens back to the Scooby-Doo movies, with the gang solving mysteries with a variety of real and fictional guest stars. This series is currently airing on the Boomerang streaming service. So that's where we are right now. So let's backtrack to the gap between 1991 and 2002. During this period, Cartoon Network began airing reruns of Scooby-Doo, and they were extremely popular, getting huge ratings. Executives at the network's parent company, Time Warner, suggested making a direct-to-video animated film. The result was the first of 30-plus direct-to-video Scooby-Doo films, originally releasing annually, then eventually being released 2 and sometimes 3 times a year to the present day. These films are going to be the focus of the series, but as should be noted, we have specific criteria for what counts here, and a couple of things we need to make clear at the outset. According to the aforementioned eldritch voices in my head, we are talking about the 2D animated direct-to-video Scooby-Doo films. This means certain films, while meeting the base criteria, don't actually count for the series. We will not be talking about the 3 TV films from the Superstar 10 series, the puppet film released exclusively at Walmart and on digital, Scooby-Doo Adventures the Mystery Map, or the various LEGO Scooby-Doo specials. We will be talking about the films released direct-to-video and then to DVD and Blu-ray from 1998 to the present. If more films are released during this series, they will be added as we go on. So if I want to get home, I need to get through what there is as fast as I can before more movies can get made. The next thing we need to talk about is something that used to be fun to discuss on the internet, but has now become a massive anchor. Continuity. Continuity can easily become a burden where long-running franchises are concerned, and the various production teams on Scooby-Doo have found the best way to deal with it is to mostly ignore it. The early shows certainly didn't care about continuity, and the later shows got around it by essentially recreating themselves whole cloth with each new series and ignoring most of what came before outside of little inside jokes and Easter eggs. The direct-to-video movies seem to do the same thing, whether through narrative convenience or executive meddling. As a result, the continuity of the movies isn't really continuity. While some films in the series are direct sequels to others, most kind of exist on their own. And as a result, I feel the easiest way to cope with whatever contradictions appear in these films is to break them up into various groups. The first 4 films in the series, Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, Alien Invaders, and Cyber Chase, all share the same continuity. The gang are no longer teenagers, instead being somewhere in their 20s, much like they were in the latter series prior to a pup named Scooby-Doo. Monsters are real in this continuity, which are also combined with the standard creep-in-a-mask classic Scooby format. However, there are some issues with this, with the release of 2019's Curse of the 13th Ghost and Return to Zombie Island. These appear to be in the same continuity as the first 4 movies, but there are some massive retcons which we will discuss in detail when we get there. The next 2 films, Legend of the Vampire and Monster of Mexico, are interesting in that they not only return the gang to being teenagers, but back to their classic 1969 designs, and in fact return most of the entire cast from 1970 to the series, with Nicole Jaffe, Heather North, and Casey Kasem returning to their roles as Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy. Don Messick, the original voice of Scooby, had sadly passed away by this point, and of course Frank Welker has been the only voice of Fred throughout the entire history of the franchise, and is the current voice of Scooby-Doo. Now, one can argue that Legend of the Vampire is in continuity with the previous 4 films, as the movie features the return of the Hex Girls from Witch's Ghost, and they do recognize the gang when they meet. But from Legend of the Vampire forward, any actual supernatural occurrences are usually left ambiguous as to whether or not they're real in the world of the films. We'll talk more about this in detail as the series goes on as well. Either way, because of the use of the classic designs, cast, and music cues, we're going to put these 2 in their own continuity and assume that in this one, the gang met the Hex Girls at some point prior to the events of the movie. From there, the next 7 films, from Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster to Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword, feature the cast, character designs, and animation style of What's New Scooby-Doo, and as such, we can safely assume these films are part of that continuity. Starting with Abracadabra Doo, Matthew Lillard takes over the role of Shaggy, as he had in the live-action theatrical films. Since there's rarely any callbacks to any previous films in the series, and as of this video going live, only 2 direct sequels, we can assume most of these films exist in their own continuity. In short, rather than assuming all these films exist within the same timeline, instead assume that really, continuity just isn't that important in these movies, and we should just relax and enjoy the ride.
Let the ramming begin!
Oh, deal with it. I want to get home, and I'm not interested in debating the continuity of a franchise which has repeatedly demonstrated over the last 50 years that it largely, with some exceptions, doesn't give a crap about whether contradictions happen or not. Whether you like it or not, I'm not going to allow myself to get hung up on continuity issues in this film series unless it's relevant to a specific movie. Most of the time, it isn't. Don't waste your time and mind with comments about continuity errors. Most people, including myself and the producers of the franchise, do not care. Continuity is fun, but it's not the be-all, end-all of storytelling, okay? That said, if you can handle all of that, I hope you'll join me on my journey home by way of the 30-plus films of Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo!
Oh, God. Ow. Wow.
Well, I guess it's you and me then. Although God knows I'd rather have Vincent Price. The hell? Well, isn't that convenient? Did you do that? What the hell's wrong with me? I've spent a year on the wrong side of reality and now I'm talking to a friggin' box. Whatever. Whatever. I hate the internet!
There's a monster scaring everybody. Spooky footprints, kinda strange and muddy. And a terrified town that doesn't know what to do. When it seems there's no one left to call now. When it seems there's no hope left at all now. That's when the mystery machine comes screeching into view. Here come those meddling kids to join the chase. No creep can keep them